Hey guys, Chris Lopez here. Welcome to the new office. And you know what that means? It means that we'll be shooting more videos. It means that you'll be hearing a lot more hip hop in the background. And it means that I've got a new open space to kind of film some kettlebell stuff, some original strength stuff, and anything else, any other questions that you guys want answered. Today, I want to answer the question, okay, so what's with all the crawling? If you guys have been following me on Facebook, if you've been following me on Instagram, or if you're on my email list or on my subscriber list and you get all my emails and everything, then you'll know that I've been doing a ton of crawling, really trying to build up my original strength. The big question is, and this is directly for my buddy Glenn, Glenn asks, so what's the deal with all the crawling? Can you show me some variations and tell me exactly why you do it? Well, crawling is a primal movement. If you think about when you were a baby, I mean, as babies, we were built perfectly. We weren't built with all these movement deficiencies, bad tissue or locked up. We weren't tight or anything like that. We had all the strength that we needed for whatever it was that we needed to do. We were built perfectly as children. And so behind OS or original strength, one of the theories is that if we go back to primal movements, if we go back to the 5 specific resets, well, I'll touch on later on in another video, with crawling being one of the resets, you can actually regain a lot of the strength and the mobility that you had when you were a child. So I've been doing a lot of crawling, and I've been doing it loaded and with chains. So if you've been on my Instagram feed, you know that I'm crawling like a few weeks, or actually last week I just crawled with 180 pounds of chain doing a reverse leopard crawl, which is a great crawling pattern that I'm about to show you. So why crawling? Well, because it feeds gait, your body gets, your body and your brain get nourished when you incorporate a cross lateral or a cross connection, incorporating the coordination between your right arm and your left hip, or your left arm and your right hip. Anything that crosses the midline is great for nourishing your brain and your body and restoring a lot of movement patterns that you haven't had because we've been sitting all the time, or we sit at desks all the time, and we're relatively sedentary. So I'll show you a few crawling patterns. The first one being a general baby crawl. So with a baby crawl, you're just getting on all fours. And remember that when you're crawling as a baby, you don't want to pack neck. You want to look straight ahead, because babies, when they crawl, they look straight ahead so they don't bash their heads or their faces into anything. And all you're doing is trying to crawl across the floor, dragging the tops of your feet on the floor, and you can go backwards as well. And that's something that you can do, something that I can do right now, and I do that as a recovery, and I'll baby crawl for 20 minutes straight. One word of caution, you want to work your way up to 20 minutes if that's something that you want to do. I would say start off with 5 minutes, and once you get consistently to 10 minutes, then you can do some loaded crawls. Loaded in terms of playing with the leverages a little bit and adding more weight. So that's the first crawl, the baby crawl. The second crawl I wanted to show you was the leopard crawl. The leopard crawl is basically just like a baby crawl, except your knees are off the ground. So you can see that my knees are 1 inch off the ground here, and so you're doing the exact same thing, making sure that you've got that coordination. And then backwards as well, as you've seen me do, dragging some chain. And so that's a little bit more intensive on your abdomen. The one thing that you want to make sure of when you're doing this kind of stuff, because what we're doing is we're building reflexive stability, is that you don't want to hard style your crawls. So you don't want to and power breathe right through them. You just want to make sure that you're nice and not necessarily loose, but you're not consciously tightening up your core, trying to stay stable. There's going to be movement in your pelvis, and you're going to be going back and forth, but that's totally fine as long as there isn't one major asymmetry, like one hip is spilling over. So that was the leopard crawl. Here's the Spider-Man crawl. So the Spider-Man crawl, basically, your knees are on the outside of your elbows, unlike the leopard crawl where your knees are in line with your elbows, so you're almost like imagining that you're on water skis or on cross-country skis. This time, with the Spider-Man crawl, your knees are outside, and you basically look like Spider-Man. You may have seen my buddy Tim Anderson do this crawl. He did it for a mile. And then backwards, same thing. So those are the 3 types of crawls that I've been kind of playing around with. I had a question about a bear crawl. Well, why don't we do a bear crawl? Well, with a bear crawl, and a bear crawl kind of looks like this. A couple of things. Number one, your butt's up in the air, so there's no core engagement. Number two, your head is down, so you're not really looking where you're going. And you want to really try to get your head up into extension, because with all the cell phones and everything and our iPhones and stuff, we're always in that flex position. So try to get your head up into extension. I don't really do the bear crawl. That's not to say that you can't do it. And then one of the easiest crawls that you can do is just a general cross crawl. And you'll see me do this in between my workouts as a rest. I'll give this to my clients as well. If you watch my daughter's volleyball team, or if you watch my daughter play volleyball, you'll see during timeouts that she's doing something like this, just resetting herself, because again, you're getting that cross-body connection. So those are different types of crawls and why I've been crawling. If you have any more questions, make sure to head over to my website and fill in that questionnaire form that I've got on the site, and I'll get back to you with answering your question on video. All right, I'm Chris Lopez, kettlebellworkouts.com, fitandbusydad.com, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So I got a question from Kate, and Kate asked, you know, Chris, when I'm crawling, when I'm doing my baby crawls, I get some pain in my wrist. So what can I do to alleviate that pain or not make it go away? Because it's really uncomfortable, and Kate's getting to the point where she can't put pressure on her wrist. Well, there's a couple of things that you can do. Number one.